"It hurts too much," she whispered. The cowboy just nodded. "Then I'll stay." The twin suns were sinking toward the horizon when the cowboy reached the edge of Red Mesa. Dust moved slowly across the land like a living thing. The desert planet looked endless, quiet, and lonely, a place where people came when they wanted to disappear. Old ranch stations stood far apart, connected only by worn trails and faint satellite signals. Elia's cane rode alone. His cloak moved gently in the wind as his bioengineered mount stepped across the cracked ground. The animal looked like a mix between a horse and something more alien, with long legs and glowing eyes that helped it see through storms. Elias guided it without speaking much. Silence suited him. He had not visited another settlement for weeks. Supplies were low, but he preferred isolation. The frontier had taught him one lesson: staying away from people meant fewer problems, but that evening would change everything. As he approached an abandoned water station, one he used sometimes for shelter, he noticed something unusual. The outer door was half open. That never happened unless someone else had passed through. His hand moved slowly toward the holster at his side. He listened first. No engines, no voices, only wind. Elias dismounted and walked forward carefully. The metal door creaked when he pushed it open. Inside, dust floated through narrow beams of orange light. The station looked empty at first glance. Then he heard it, a small sound, not mechanical. Human, he followed the sound toward the back of the structure. Behind an old storage barn, partly hidden by broken equipment, a woman sat on the ground. She looked exhausted. Her clothes were torn from travel and dirt covered her hands. One arm wrapped tightly around her side as if she were trying to hold herself together. Her breathing was uneven. When she noticed him, fear crossed her face. Elias stopped several steps away. He kept his voice calm and quiet. "You alone?" he asked. She hesitated as if unsure whether to trust him. Finally, she nodded once. He noticed faint lights beneath her skin, small glowing lines that flickered near her neck and arms. Technology, advanced implants, not something common on the frontier. He took another slow step forward. "What happened?" he asked. She swallowed, trying to speak, but the words came out weak. "It hurts too much," she whispered. The words sounded simple, but they carried deep exhaustion. Elias watched her carefully. He had seen pain before: soldiers, settlers, workers left behind by corporations, but something about her felt different. She was not just injured. She was running from something. He nodded once. "Then I'll stay," he said quietly. The woman looked surprised. Most strangers on Red Mesa did not offer help. Trust was rare here. Without waiting for permission, Elias moved closer and crouched beside her. He activated his portable medical scanner. A soft blue light passed over her body, displaying readings on a small screen. His expression tightened. The implants inside her were damaged and unstable. Energy spikes moved through her system, causing intense physical stress. Whoever designed them had used advanced technology far beyond frontier standards. "You can walk?" he asked gently. She shook her head. He lifted her carefully. She felt lighter than expected, as if she had not eaten properly for days. Carrying her into the barn, he laid her on an old work table and began setting up medical tools. "My name is Elias," he said while working. She hesitated before answering. "Mara." He did not ask for more. People on the frontier shared their stories only when ready. Outside, the wind grew stronger. The sky turned deeper red as the suns lowered. Elias cleaned her wounds and injected a stabilizer to calm the implant reactions. Slowly, her breathing steadied. For a while, neither spoke. Mara watched him with cautious eyes. "You're not asking questions," she said eventually. "Questions can wait," he replied. She looked away, uncertain how to respond to kindness. After finishing treatment, Elias moved to the doorway and scanned the horizon. Something felt wrong. The desert was too quiet. Then he heard distant thunder, not natural, engines. His instincts sharpened immediately. He turned off all lights inside the station and sealed the doors. Mara noticed the sudden tension. "What is it?" she asked. "Visitors," he said simply. Fear crossed her face again. "They found me." Elias did not respond, but he understood enough. Whoever searched for her had resources. He checked his rifle and positioned himself near a window where he could watch without being seen. Dust clouds moved slowly across the plains, and far away he spotted small lights, fast-moving vehicles scanning the area. Hunters. Mara tried to sit up, but pain forced her back down. "I shouldn't have stopped here," she whispered. "I bring danger." Elias shook his head slightly. Danger comes whether we invite it or not. She studied him quietly. Why help me? She asked. He did not answer immediately. Memories passed through his mind, old missions, broken promises, people he failed to protect. He pushed the thoughts away. You needed help, he said finally. That was enough explanation for him. Outside, the engines moved closer before turning away toward another settlement. Elias waited long after the sound faded before relaxing. Night fell slowly across Red Mesa. Inside the barn, a small heater warmed the air. Elias prepared simple food and offered it to Mara. She ate slowly, still watching him carefully, as if trying to understand his intentions. You could leave, she said quietly. Most people would. He nodded. Yes, but you won't. He looked toward the dark horizon. No. Silence settled between them, but it felt different now, less tense, more peaceful. Myra lay back, exhaustion finally winning over fear. Her eyes closed slowly, though faint lines of light still moved beneath her skin. Elias remained awake. He sat near the doorway, watching the stars appear above the desert. The promise he made felt heavier than he expected, yet also strangely right. He had planned to stay alone forever. Now someone else's survival depended on him, and deep inside, a part of him that had been silent for years began to wake again. The protector. Far away, unseen beyond the hills, searchlights continued moving across the desert, slowly drawing closer. Morning came slowly to Red Mesa. The first sun rose behind distant cliffs, painting the desert in soft gold light. Inside the old water station, the air felt warmer than the cold night before. Elias had not slept much. He sat near the doorway, watching the horizon while cleaning his rifle with careful movements. Myra woke with a quiet breath. For a moment she looked confused, as if unsure where she was. Then the memory returned, the cowboy, the shelter, the promise. Pain still existed, but it felt less sharp than before. You're awake, Elias said without turning around. She sat up slowly. The stabilizer he had given her helped, but she could still feel the implants beneath her skin, like faint electric waves moving through her body. How long did I sleep? She asked. A few hours, he replied. She noticed he had not rested. You stayed up all night. He shrugged slightly. Habit. Mara watched him carefully. He spoke little, but his presence felt steady, like a quiet wall protecting against the storm outside. After eating a small breakfast, she finally spoke more. They're from Helix Systems, she said softly. Elias paused. He knew that name, a powerful off-world corporation known for secret experiments and dangerous frontier contracts. Years ago, they had hired him as security for a mining colony. When disaster struck, they abandoned the workers without warning. He had left after that mission, unable to forget what happened. They made the implants, she continued. They said it would enhance human perception, faster reaction, deeper awareness, but the pain never stopped. When I asked to remove them, they refused. Her voice trembled slightly. I wasn't a person anymore, just a project. Elias said nothing for a long moment. Finally, he asked, how did you escape? They moved me during a storm. Security failed for a few minutes. I ran. She looked down at her hands. I thought I could outrun them. Outside, wind pushed against the metal walls. The desert felt heavier now, as if holding its breath. Elias walked toward the window and checked the horizon again. We can't stay here, he said quietly. Myra's shoulders tightened. I know. He explained his plan. There was an old underground medical station hidden in the canyon region, a place left behind after the frontier wars. The systems were outdated but powerful. If anything could stabilize or disable the implants safely, it would be there. It's a long ride, he added. Dangerous. She met his eyes. I don't have another choice. He nodded once. They packed quickly. Elias secured supplies while Myra forced herself to stand. Her legs felt weak, but determination kept her steady. Outside, the desert stretched endlessly beneath the bright sky. Elias helped her onto a second mount, a smaller one he had kept tied nearby. At first, she struggled to balance, but he guided her patiently. You'll learn fast, he said. They left the station behind, moving across open plains. For several hours, silence surrounded them except for the sound of hooves against dry ground. Slowly, Mara began to relax. Riding felt strangely freeing, like leaving her old life farther behind with each step. You live alone? She asked after a while. Yes. Why? He considered the question. Easier that way. She sensed deeper meaning but did not push further. Around midday, Elias suddenly raised his hand, signaling her to stop. He pointed toward the sky. A small drone moved far above them, scanning the land with narrow beams of light. Mara's heart raced. They found me! Elias guided both mounts toward a canyon wall, hiding beneath a rocky overhang. They waited silently while the drone passed overhead. Even after it disappeared, tension remained. They'll send more, she whispered. Yes, he said calmly. Fear grew inside her. You should leave me, she said quietly. If they catch you helping me, he looked at her for a long moment. I said I would stay. She had no answer for that. They continued traveling, taking narrow paths through rocky terrain to avoid open areas. As evening approached, Mara's implants began reacting again. Light flickered beneath her skin, and she gripped the saddle tightly. It's starting again, she whispered. Elias stopped immediately. He helped her down and gave another stabilizer dose. You don't have to hide the pain, he said gently. She looked at him with tired eyes. I forgot what it feels like when someone listens. The words hung quietly between them. They rested briefly before moving again. Night fell before they reached the canyon entrance. Stars filled the sky, brighter than any city world. The underground station lay somewhere beyond the cliffs, hidden beneath layers of old rock. But they were not alone. Lights appeared behind them, distant but unmistakable, search vehicles. Elias turned his mount sharply. They're faster than I thought, he said. Myra's fear returned, but something inside her felt different now. She was no longer running alone. They pushed forward into the canyon, shadows swallowing them as engines echoed behind. The path narrowed, forcing the vehicles to slow. Elias used every twist and turn to gain distance, guiding them through hidden trails only experienced riders knew. Finally, they reached a narrow ledge overlooking a deep ravine. He stopped and activated an old signal beacon hidden beneath rocks. The canyon wall shifted slightly, revealing a concealed entrance. The station, he said. Hope filled Mara's chest. They entered quickly. The hidden door closed behind them, sealing out the desert. Inside, darkness surrounded them until Elias restored power. Lights flickered on, revealing old machines covered in dust. The place felt abandoned but alive. A medical chamber stood in the center. Mara stared at it, unsure whether to feel relief or fear. Outside, engines echoed closer. Elias checked the entrance. We don't have much time. She stepped toward the chamber slowly. Pain pulsed again through her body. It hurts too much, she whispered. Elias moved beside her, steady and calm. I'm here, he said, and for the first time since escaping, she believed she might survive. The underground station felt cold and forgotten. Dust floated slowly through the air as old lights flickered overhead. The sound of ancient machines waking filled the silence with soft mechanical hums. Elias moved quickly, checking doors and control panels while keeping his rifle ready. Outside, distant engines echoed through the canyon. They were getting closer. Mara stood near the medical chamber, staring at her reflection in the glass. The faint glow beneath her skin pulsed stronger now, moving like slow lightning across her arms. Every wave of energy brought pain that tightened her breath. Will it work? She asked quietly. Elias walked toward an old control console. He wiped dust away and activated the system. Screens came alive one by one, displaying unfamiliar symbols and faded medical data. It should, he said. Old frontier tech was built to last. She nodded, though fear still filled her eyes. The chamber opened with a soft hiss. Mara hesitated. What if it makes things worse? She whispered. Elias stepped closer. Then we face that too, he said calmly. She studied his face for a moment. He never promised easy outcomes. Only that he would stay, that was enough. She lay down inside the chamber. The surface felt cold against her back. Elias adjusted settings carefully, reading through system warnings. The screen displayed a clear message: implant structure unstable, full removal risk high. His jaw tightened. Removing the implants completely could kill her. The system suggested another option: stabilization. It would not remove the technology but might balance the energy flow, reducing pain and preventing system failure. He glanced at Mara. Listen carefully, he said. We stabilize them, not remove them. It may change how you feel, maybe how you see the world. She closed her eyes briefly. I just want the pain to stop. Outside, a loud echo rolled through the canyon. Search vehicles had arrived. Elias started the procedure. Soft blue light surrounded Mara as scanning beams moved slowly over her body. Her breathing became uneven as energy surged through the implants. Pain hit her suddenly. Her hands tightened against the chamber edges. It hurts too much, she whispered, voice trembling. Elias placed his hand gently over hers. "I'm here," he said quietly. The machine responded to her reactions, adjusting frequencies and releasing stabilizing pulses. Lights flashed faster. Energy patterns moved across the screens in complex shapes. Mara felt as if her mind stretched beyond her body. Sounds became sharper. She sensed movement through the station walls, footsteps above, distant vibrations in the rock. "They're here," she gasped. Elias looked toward the entrance. Heavy footsteps echoed from outside the sealed door. Voices followed, muffled but clear enough to understand. "They entered somewhere near here," one voice said through a comm device. Time was running out. The procedure reached its most dangerous phase. Energy surged violently through Mara's body. She cried out, gripping Elias' hand tightly. Memories flashed through her mind, the laboratory, cold voices, endless tests, the moment she escaped into the storm. Then something changed. The pain shifted. Instead of sharp and overwhelming, it became focused, like a strong current moving in harmony rather than chaos. The chamber lights dimmed. A soft tone sounded, stabilization complete. Mara opened her eyes slowly. The world felt different, clearer. She could hear the faint movement of dust falling from the ceiling, the soft vibration of Elias' heartbeat near her, even distant footsteps far beyond the walls. The pain faded into a distant memory. Elias helped her sit up. "How do you feel?" he asked. She took a deep breath. "Quiet," she said softly. "For the first time, quiet." But relief lasted only a moment. Explosions shook the outer tunnel. The hunters were forcing entry. Elias grabbed his rifle. "We have to move." He guided her toward a secondary corridor, but Mara stopped suddenly. "I can sense them," she said, surprised by her own words. "3 near the entrance, 2 moving along the side wall." Her new awareness felt natural, as if she had always known how to use it. Elias paused. "Then you lead." They moved quickly through narrow tunnels. The station's old design created a maze of pathways, some collapsed, others barely wide enough to pass. Behind them, metal doors crashed open. Voices echoed closer. Mara closed her eyes briefly, focusing. "Left," she whispered. "They're blocking the main path." Elias trusted her completely. They turned through a hidden passage that led downward. Dust filled the air as ancient systems activated emergency lighting. A drone suddenly appeared ahead, scanning with bright red beams. Elias fired quickly, destroying it before it could alert others. They reached a large chamber where an old cargo lift waited. The power system flickered, but Elias forced it to start. As the lift moved upward toward the surface exit, tension filled the air. Mara looked at him. "You could have left me back there," she said quietly. He shook his head. "I don't leave people behind." The lift reached the top. A hidden door opened to reveal the open desert under early dawn light, freedom. They stepped outside just as enemy ships descended into the canyon behind them. Elias guided the mounts forward quickly. Engines roared in pursuit. But Mara's new awareness allowed her to sense safe paths, hidden trails, unstable rock formations, narrow passages the larger vehicles could not follow. They rode hard across the desert, leaving chaos behind. Finally, when the sun rose fully, the sounds of pursuit faded. They slowed near a quiet ridge overlooking endless plains. Mara breathed deeply, feeling the wind against her face. The pain was gone. Elias stopped beside her. "You did well," he said simply. She smiled faintly. For the first time since escaping, she felt more than survival. She felt hope, but deep inside, both knew the journey was not finished yet. The frontier still watched them, and somewhere far behind, the hunters were already planning their next move. The desert stretched endlessly beneath the morning sky. Twin suns climbed slowly higher, warming the cold air left behind by the night. Elias guided his mount along a narrow ridge while Mara followed beside him. The wind moved gently across the plains, carrying the scent of dry earth and distant storms. For the first time since they met, there was no immediate danger behind them, but neither believed the threat was truly over. Mara felt different now. The constant pain that once filled her body had faded into silence. Instead, a new awareness surrounded her. She could sense movement through the air, small changes in sound, and even the rhythm of Elias breathing nearby. It did not frighten her anymore. It felt like freedom. They stopped near a rocky overlook where the land opened into wide valleys. Elias checked the horizon carefully before dismounting. "We rest here," he said. Mara nodded. She stepped down slowly, still adjusting to her new balance. The implants no longer felt like chains inside her. Instead, they responded gently, helping her move with greater ease. She looked toward Elias. "You saved me," she said quietly. He shook his head. "You saved yourself, I just stayed." The words made her smile. For a while they sat in silence, watching the distant clouds move across the sky. Finally, she asked the question that had stayed in her mind. "Why did you really stay?" Elias took a long breath. "I used to believe helping people made things better," he said slowly. "Years ago, I worked security for a corporation, Helix Systems. When disaster came, they left everyone behind. I couldn't stop it. After that, I stopped trying." Mara listened carefully. "You thought being alone was easier." "Yes, and now," he looked at her, "now I think I was wrong." Before she could respond, her senses reacted sharply. She turned toward the east. "They're coming," she said suddenly. Elias stood immediately. Far across the plains, small lights appeared, fast-moving vehicles cutting through the desert. Helix hunters. "They tracked us," he said quietly. Fear tried to rise inside Mara, but this time it felt different. She was not the helpless woman running from pain anymore. "What do we do?" she asked. Elias studied the terrain. "We don't run forever." His words surprised her. Instead of fleeing, he guided her toward a narrow canyon filled with tall rock formations. The area created natural barriers that slowed vehicles and blocked communication signals, a place where skill mattered more than technology. As they reached the canyon entrance, Elias set traps using old frontier techniques, hidden charges that collapsed rock paths and narrow routes that forced enemies to separate. Mara watched him work. "You planned this," she realized. "I hoped we wouldn't need it," he replied. The hunters arrived sooner than expected. Engines roared as armored riders entered the canyon, scanning with bright lights. Elias and Mara moved carefully along hidden ledges above them. Her new awareness helped guide every step. "They're splitting up," she whispered. "3 going left, 2 coming toward us." Elias nodded. They used the terrain to their advantage, avoiding direct confrontation. When necessary, Elias fired only to disable equipment rather than harm anyone. Dust filled the air as rockslides blocked escape routes for the hunters. Eventually, the enemy vehicles stopped advancing. Communication signals failed inside the canyon, leaving them disorganized. After a long moment, the remaining engines turned back. Helix forces retreated. Silence returned slowly. Mara released a deep breath she didn't realize she was holding. "They gave up," she said softly. "For now," Elias answered. They left the canyon and rode toward open plains again. The sky turned orange as evening approached. Later, they reached Elias Ranch, a small settlement built from old metal structures and solar panels. It looked simple but strong, standing alone against the endless horizon. Mara stared at it. "You live here?" "Yes." She felt warmth spreading inside her chest. For the first time since escaping, she felt she had somewhere to belong. Days passed quietly. Mara helped repair fences and learned frontier life while adjusting to her new abilities. Instead of hiding from her implants, she began using them to understand the world around her. One evening, while watching the sunset, she turned to Elias. "I don't want to run anymore," she said. He nodded. "You don't have to." They decided to transform the ranch into something new, a safe place for travelers and people escaping difficult pasts. A place where no one would be treated like a project or abandoned by those with power. Word spread slowly across the frontier. People began arriving, lost settlers, injured riders, families needing shelter. Mara helped them with quiet kindness, understanding pain in ways few could. One night, as stars filled the sky, she remembered the moment they first met. "It hurts too much," she said softly, repeating her old words. Elias looked at her. "And now," she smiled gently. "Now it doesn't," he nodded, satisfied. The frontier remained dangerous and Helix systems might return someday. But neither feared the future anymore. Because sometimes survival was not about running away. Sometimes it was about choosing to stay. And on the endless plains of Red Mesa, beneath twin suns and quiet stars, 2 people who once felt broken built something strong together, a place where pain turned into hope, and where no one had to face the desert alone again.